This is Fruit Ninja, and this is Fruit Ninja in first person. Here's how I made it. Back in the early 2010s, when mobile games were at their best, I used to love playing Fruit Ninja. The simple mechanics of swiping to slice fruit were incredibly easy to learn, but were really difficult to master. That's what caused its insane popularity and the success of many other famous games to date. The game that I'm going to make is hopefully going to take those simple mechanics and make them even more immersive and in first person. But all I've got so far is this. Literally nothing. So I need to make something. The main part of this game that I need is of course first person movement, or more just the ability to look around. I could of course spend hours trying to make this myself, or with the help of Control and C and V, I could just borrow the code from one of my older projects. After just a few minutes of tweaking that old code, adding a bean, deleting that bean, and adding another bean, I could now smoothly look around with the mouse. Very epic. However, the game still doesn't have anything to do with Fruit Ninja, and I mean, how could Fruit Ninja even work in first person? Well, I think it would be cool if what would be your finger in the original game, or the sword that slices stuff, is replaced with the crosshair in the middle of the screen. So I made a sprite for one, and well, put it in the middle of the screen, and then made a new sprite because let's be honest, the old one looked quite bad. Now, I just need to make it look like you're slicing with the crosshair, or a circle hair. The way it kind of works in Fruit Ninja is there is a trail which follows your finger around the screen, and luckily that would be pretty much the same in first person with the crosshair. After a bit of work and some fruit which just appeared out of this mysterious place called the asset store, I was able to get a trail system working which looks pretty good. But unfortunately, it's all looks, it doesn't actually affect the fruit. At first, to try and solve this, I got the position of your crosshair when you start clicking and when you let go, and checked if it had passed through a fruit. This kind of worked, but in reality this was a terrible way to go about it, and it really wouldn't be satisfying or even work as an actual slicing mechanic. I looked on this thing called the internet for some other ways to go about this, and I discovered the way slicing works in actual Fruit Ninja. For some reason I thought it would use realistic cutting, but no, they just have a model for each half which is spawned in when it gets split. It made me really disappointed to find that out. I wanted to have realistic slicing physics where it slices where you point, but if even Fruit Ninja couldn't do that, how could I possibly do that? I researched everywhere, spending hours and hours and hours trying to find ways to make actual cutting, but everything and all of the tutorials I tried just didn't work. What was I going to do? Knowing that I couldn't get this to work made me annoyed. I started to get sick of trying to solve it, and I eventually lost all motivation for working on the project, and I abandoned it. The 1st of August 2022. I was running low on ideas for a video, and in that one day alone I had already scrapped 3 different game ideas, but that was when I remembered about Fruit Ninja, a fairly popular mobile game that would be perfect in first person, and I'd already started, so it should be easy. I thought about all of the features that I could add, and how cool it would be if it were a finished game. And once again, after 6 whole months, I was able to get enough motivation to start working on the game. And what a surprise, after just a few more hours of work I was able to easily get slicing to work, literally using a tutorial and library that I found in my downloads from when I'd worked on it originally. But that doesn't matter, I now have working slicing which feels really satisfying, and the basic mechanics for a really fun game. That is, if nothing else goes wrong. I made the fruit and vegetables spawn underneath you in a random direction and get launched up. Basically how they do in the actual game. The problem with this, however, was that obviously there's no way of knowing if there's a fruit behind you that you need to hit, so it's pretty much impossible. I instead had to choose a random spot for them to spawn in that is between 0 and 180 degrees, and it is now much more enjoyable and well, actually possible. I gave the player a platform to stand on so it looks less weird, and started to work on some polish for the game. First, I worked on making some particle effects with different colors for each fruit, using, you guessed it, Unity's particle system. I also added a new line or image effect which actually lines up to the angle that the fruit is cut. I found this was a really important addition, and it makes it feel like you are genuinely slicing the fruit. Of course, I added some really satisfying slicing sounds, and now the whole slicing experience is pretty complete and polished. And of course, I spent quite a long time just having fun destroying fruit. Now I needed a background. I wanted to make something similar to the wooden wall in original Fruit Ninja, so I downloaded this wood texture from the internet. Since the game is 3D, I can't just have a flat wall, so I needed to make the background a sphere which covers all around you. The problem is I can't just add a sphere because the default Unity sphere is only visible from the outside, so it won't work. What I had to do was actually create a sphere inside another program, Blender, and invert its normals, making it so the outside of the sphere is actually the inside, which is a little bit confusing. But now, after adding some post-processing and some well-placed directional lighting as well, the background looks quite nice. Next, I added a score using a similar font to the one in Fruit Ninja, which increases when you destroy a fruit. To add a way to lose, I recreated these iconic miss icons from the original game and made them go red and play a bit of a sound when you miss. This was still too easy though, so I made another famous object from Fruit Ninja, the bombs, which instantly get rid of all your lives when you hit them. I made some particles and added some sounds to them and made a death screen and stuff, and now you could actually die, which is quite satisfying, but also a bit scary. And now, after adding a bunch more fruit and other foods and making a lot of balancing changes like increasing spawn rate over time, I can say that I've finally finished the game. I'm gonna try and make it available for download, but just know that there is a lot of bugs still which I don't know how to fix, and you will likely need a fairly decent computer to run it. Overall, I think the game turned out really well, and really fun, and really satisfying. So yeah, well, I just realized there's already an official VR version of Fruit Ninja which is basically first person. Hopefully this game is different enough. Thank you to my top tier patron, Celestin Lapointe. I don't think I said that correctly.